Yeah.
Cool. Ati, you can kick us off. Thanks.
Jake, how's this been moved ahead of this one? Big game.
I'm excited. I must be fair. It's nice energy. We've got, as I said to you last week, the one thing we've been talking a lot about is we want to improve every single year. Last year we lost it to Toulouse in the top 16 game. This year we managed to host the top 16 game and get through to the next round of quarterfinals. And so, I mean, it's, for this group, if you consider that 3 years we play in this competition, and every year we've improved. And I'm talking about URC and 2 years in the Champions Cup. To go in your year 2, get into the quarterfinals, top 8 clubs in Europe or in this competition is obviously, it's something we're proud of.
I mean, how big of a game is it? Again, obviously there was the URC final, but then this one now feels like the team has matured to a point. How big of a game?
Yeah, look, I think the one thing, and I sort of always feel like I'm repeating myself to the same media all the time, but the one thing we have to learn is 2 weeks ago we were under the pump against Leinster, and we felt what it was like to have a really well-drilled team that's handled pressure, that's played in 3 Six Nations, a World Cup, played in 2 European Cup finals, and so what I'm trying to create here is that I'm trying to create a squad that can play at this intensity and this level throughout our squad. It's not just a select few. The more you can get that appreciate pressure and understand, like I mentioned to you last week as well, when I came back from Leinster, when a team's got you by the throat, sometimes some coaches are reluctant to put reserves on because you think it's into the fire. I think for our growth process of where we are, I'm going to try and encourage as many times for these players to feel what it's like to have knockout pressure, to play against international players. If I look at a guy like, and I suppose the one example is, you look at a guy like Reinhard Ludwig. See how he's improved in the time, but that's because he's been exposed to be playing. He played Eben Etzebeth one weekend, and then he played another massive lock the following weekend, and then he's playing against Leinster, and maybe he plays against Ergia next week. I mean, the reality is the learnings in that are massive.
Coach, do you sort of challenge these guys to replicate last weekend's performance away from them? Can they do it away from them?
Well, look, I think I can't challenge them every week on performance, full stop. I think one of the things I said to you after the game this weekend was the reaction we had after getting the result we did against Leinster, and the reaction was to play like we did at home against Lyon is exactly what you want to see. You don't want to see a team that if they have a bit of a bad outing, that rubs off on the next fixture. So it's not just about playing away, it's about these pressure games anywhere being good enough to have a performance that gives you a chance to win the game.
And last weekend, was it as close as perfect as a performance you could get?
Not really. I mean, to be fair, there were things we did really well. I think I like the way we interchanged forwards and backs. I like the way we varied the way we played, and I like the fact that we almost felt what it was like when Leinster had us in the same situation, and we could replicate that. So from a performance point of view, and as you say, perfect performance. It was perfect in that we could sense that we took a lot of learning out of what happened to us against a Leinster team that can really attack well.
So 2 weeks ago you said that there's nothing you can do in 2 weeks to beat Leinster.
Yes.
You against a team or up against a team that's similar, if not better than Leinster.
Yeah.
How do you motivate yourself and the players, taking that into account?
Look, Carl, so let me quickly, I don't want to take you on about this. I wouldn't say they're similar or better than Leinster. I think the bottom line is they as it stands, they're number one in the Premiership. So, I mean, they are the form team in England. They've won a Heineken Cup. So, I mean, they've had the experience of, as a club, playing in it. I don't think it's necessarily like using Leinster result or whatever now against Northampton. I think the only thing we must take into consideration is it's another opportunity to play in in a stadium that's probably going to be sold out. Another opportunity
Already
to play.
sold out.
Yeah. Okay, so sold out, play in front of a crowd, play away from home, play against international players, play in a situation where it's all or nothing, and that also is how you grow a squad. I don't want to repeat myself, but we got to grow still. We often speak to a lot of people, and it takes teams years to get to the level that they get to. And if you consider where we are, geez, I'm very excited about the fact that people are wanting to watch this game. It's fantastic. It's nice for the boys. So I just want to make sure that we get better and better every single time we run out.
And travel arrangements, you spoke on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's not what it's supposed
Well, it's
to be.
not ideal. Let's be fair, boys. The reality is, I've said it to you before, and it's not the ideal. If you're talking about a high-performance sport, you're talking about, being able to be competitive. There are not many sporting teams that would leave on 8 different airlines on a Tuesday evening to play a Saturday night game. So for whatever reason, and I'm sure that the powers that be will sort it out. But it isn't what it was expected. I said this to you before, Carl. We were sold. It's an overnight flight, and that's why we're playing in Europe. And 2 weeks ago we went to Leinster. It took us 28 hours to get there and 27 hours to get back. Now, whether we like it or not, that comes at a cost. That comes at a cost of whether we fly business class, and I'm very fortunate. Our board paid for business class for our starting team, which is a fantastic gesture on their behalf, and it is a massive bonus. But it isn't. No sporting team flies 28 hours. No sporting team today, as I speak, flies out today with 8 different aeroplanes. Some to Birmingham, some to London. Some land at 9, some land at 2. There's no sporting team when you're talking about a competition that you want to win. When you're talking about a competition where you want to be the best in the world. The one doesn't add to the other one. That's where we've got to get to. And I'm not. As I said, I'm not going to stop saying that to you guys. If we want to be the best, we've got to get those things right.
Jake, with that in mind, how do you manage the players leading up? You don't have much time. Obviously, you complete your preparations here, and then you've got some rain to help you. But how do you manage the players, given all those different scenarios?
Well, Brent, I'm so glad you asked me that question, because we leave today. It's Tuesday. Ideal world, I would love to have left on Wednesday night, landed on Thursday, prepped here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. When you leave Tuesday, and guys I saw on Monday after a really tough game against Lyon, people assume because it was 59-19, it's not a tough fixture. It's a French team playing, they play a certain style, and they ask different physical attributes of you. 59-19 can sometimes be a tougher fixture for you than winning 15-10. So now we leave on a Tuesday, and that gives you limited time. Yesterday, Monday, they're a bit sore. Tuesday, you're basically trying to do as much prep as you can. You're going to get there Thursday. You can't have 2 teams training against each other because you don't have enough players to tour. Mm-hmm. And all those factors are important things. And I just want to remind it. Leinster came here last year and sent a team that we beat by 60 points. Now, Leinster, they've got 30-something internationals, had to do that in order to give themselves a chance to win 2 competitions. And we're talking about a club that's invested years and years into academy development, into producing Irish internationals. Even they had to, like you say, juggle and so, I suppose the answer I can give you, we can only manage as best we can, what is given to us. And what is given is, it's a short week, Tuesday fly, Thursday limited training time because of the fact we're limited numbers. Monday a bit sore, lots of guys have got niggles, and it's not on the back only of this. It's Dragons away, Leinster away, 28 hours travel, Lyon at home. It's an accumulative effect of where we are as a group.
I was going to say, because you've also got a big fixture against Munster.
Well, we're playing the champions of URC next week. That's what people forget. And it doesn't matter whether people go, but it's at Loftus and all that. They are the champions of URC. They came away from home and beat Stormers, who were the current holders last year, as we all know. They're out of the European Cup. They've got 2 weeks to prepare. They're going to be as prepared as they can for 2 weeks to play the Bulls in a game that we need to win and they need to win if we're going to stay alive in hosting playoff games at Loftus.
Just on the squad as such, is a guy like Cameron, is he back or is he travelling?
Yeah, Cameron's back. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Cameron Gumedi's back, so Gumedi's back as well. Pilo. Who else? No, those two guys are generally the two guys that have come back. Yeah. But as I said, without giving my squad away, when a lot of guys got bumped and bruised, and a lot of guys are needing to be looked after as well. So it's one of those difficult decisions for me to make. Tuesday limited training, Monday couldn't train, guys sore, flying tonight. So obviously a lot of things I'm going to have to work on in order to make sure we can tick as many boxes as we can.
I was going to say, my other was going to ask you, is anybody resting or anyone staying?
Yeah. No, well, I think that's the secret. I'm going to have to try and find the balance. So I'm glad you asked me that, because Munster at home is not going away. And after landing, I think it's also important to understand we land on Monday. Not only do we arrive in different times into England, we arrive different times on Monday into South Africa. So again, that means Monday, if you want to train, some land at 9, some land at 11, some come at 2. So Monday basically is also tough for us. But I think it's very important, guys, and I'm going to repeat it, Brent. Leinster sent their team here last year in order to, and they got 60 points, probably the biggest hiding Leinster have got in the last 10 years from any club. And they had to do it at the expense of making sure that they can be competitive in 2 competitions. And we, whether we like it or not, we got a whatever word you want to use, but we got a clear indication of what happens at Leinster away 2 weeks ago. And as a club, it's my responsibility to make sure that we narrow that gap as quickly as we can.
Just in terms of your focus, I mean, you're very well positioned in the UFC.
Yes.
This game is sort of almost a bit of a hiccup. What are you going to focus on? The UFC or this one more? What do you think is more important?
I want to answer that by saying this. I want to make sure the club is as competitive as it can be every single time we run out. I want to make sure that we can become the Leinster of club rugby. And again, taking nothing away from La Rochelle, who've won it twice, Toulouse, who've won the championship 5 times. Saying in the modern time now, for me, Leinster, with their academy, the way they bring players through. I mean, you guys know, I watched Jacques talking about how nice it is in Ireland because of the detail and because of the way the Irish players are. I mean, Rassie has said as many times, has waxed lyrical about Irish rugby and Munster and when he was there and the learnings he got and bringing Felix Jones here. So that is, for me, is where we need to get to. And there are a lot of things that have to fall into place. I mean, I'm going to give you guys a thing to understand that. Imagine if 5 years, who's left in 5 years, was still here. So Saturday's team would be Trevor, Racing, Piers Kumar, Edinburgh, Lode Jager, Panasonic, Jason Jenkins, Leinster, R.K. Steyman, Munster, Liebenberg, Leicester Tigers. These are just Bulls players. I'm not talking about buying anyone else. Arno Botha, Leon, Ivan van Zyl, Scrumhoff, Saracens, Pollard, Leicester, Jan Serpentine, Montpellier, Jesse Creel, Cannon, Madosh Tambwe, Bordeaux. Now, as I said, in the old days, those guys would still be here, they'd be training here, and we'd be able to think differently and so I suppose I'm answering your question by that. That's where I want to get to. And when I get to that day, then I'm going to be much more comfortable at the club here. Is going to be where I would like the club to be.
So that means John Dobson said this week you're probably about 2 or 3 years away from getting to where you want to be. You agree with that?
Well, that's John Dobson. I think he's got to worry about how long it takes him. I want to make sure we get there as quickly as we can. And I just hope people understand what I'm saying to you. People look at photographs and memories, and you want to bring back the good times. And I would like to bring back the good times where the best players in South Africa are playing in their franchises. Then the answers would be so much easier for me to stand here and say, which one do you take serious? How would you pick your team? How would you rest them? Those answers would be simple for me, because we wouldn't be competing against a market that's got the players on the other side of the world.
One more thing. Jacob van der Walt, Henry Immelman, used to those conditions. Where are they?
Yeah, well, they're in the thinking this week. Yeah.
Jake, just what you took out of the Northampton Munster game for Sunday? Your thoughts?
What I have taken out, Brendan, is that Northampton are a very good team. They're number one in the Premiership. They play an incredible brand of rugby, and if you look at their stats, it's not just they're only good at certain things. I mean, what I meant by that is their line out strong, their defensive sets are very good, their attacking is strong, their points scored are strong. So it's not like there's one area where, you know, as I said, they just play attacking rugby or whatever. You know, they really balanced, well coached, and there's a reason why they're number one. I mean, you talk about it, they've beaten Saracens, you know, they've beaten Bath, I think they've lost to Bristol twice, which again can happen, but I think they've only lost 4 times this year. So I mean, they're a really good team.
The second half was really
yeah, and I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, I think that's why I think that makes that one try they scored from their own half as well. I mean, they're not just a team that sort of only do one thing. I mean, they're also quite balanced in terms of playing with their forwards and their backs. So yeah, it's another challenge we have, and it's away, and it's, you know, it's 8 o'clock at night, and it's, you know, and it's in a stadium that we all know is a nice stadium to play in. So it gives me an opportunity to sort of grow as a group. I think that's what I keep thinking to myself is, I mean, John Dobson said it, and he's right. You know, it's funny. John Dobson said that now. When I said that 3 years ago, the guys were looking at me like I was crazy. You know, I said to you, it's still going to take a while.
Coach, are you in a position to sort of give us your traveling schedule from Johannesburg all the way?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very simple. We leave tonight, and as I said, there's some guys going on Emirates, some guys going on Qatar, some guys going on British Airways, some guys going on Virgin, some guys going on Swiss Air, some guys going on Lufthansa. And the idea is that we get there tomorrow, and obviously logistically we've got to make sure everyone gets fetched and carried and shuttles, and then we'll arrive in Northampton tomorrow. Hopefully by lunchtime everyone should be in the hotel, and then we're going to get ready and prep Thursday with a training session. And then, as I said, difficulty comes back when we come back, because everyone has to then go back to, you know, different I wouldn't say airports, but different journeys on the way home as well. You know, some via, as I said, Doha, some via Dubai, some via Frankfurt. So it's not ideal. I mean, but we'll get there. We'll get there. I mean, I'm saying that I'm totally confident as this competition, you know, grows and as people understand it, we'll get there.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.